Hey Daniela, um, how's it going? I'm gonna take a look at your walk cycle and give you my thoughts and my notes. Again, I would strongly encourage you to put this in the step mode so we can just look at poses or as drawings. But I'll start to identify your key poses here. I'm gonna say here. I'm gonna say passing. I'll say it's here. And then extension maybe there, or contact there. Yeah, so thank you for doing it in the two views, and thanks for submitting and all that. But yeah, I would encourage to go stepped so we can look at these as like just drawings or individual poses. Because I just want to focus on like a few keyframes, a few poses, so it doesn't get overwhelming with everything that's like going on with the computer interpolating between your keys. Because it's quite distracting. So anyways, on this pose, if this is your contact pose, I try to get this foot straight or straighter. It doesn't have to be 100% straight, but pretty straight. And then I think you can rotate the hips even more. Again, like the drawings I do are not supposed to be like copy these 100%, but I think that the ideas there is great. I really like this back foot. I think that this angle and the toe roll and everything you have here is really great. And I really like how this leg is straight. Everything's looking really good with that back leg. I think the front leg just needs to be straighter and have maybe the foot tipped up a tiny bit and get the hips involved, because that's going to change, the relationship of all this stuff. I would still try to tip this a little bit more forward. I think it'll be just a hint stronger, and then you can just kind of leave it at that angle for the rest of the walk cycle. So this I identified because I think that this should be your plant or your down, right? Like I want to see this foot flat, just like 2 frames later, like bam, it goes down on the ground. But other than that, I think that the leg bend here is great. I think that we're probably going to need to see a little bit more contrast in the up and down of your pelvis between this pose and this pose. I want to see that this is going to be the lowest point. This here should be the lowest point of the pelvis in your walk. And I think that if you do go down a little bit, that's going to introduce a bend in this leg, which I think is what we want to see, because the weight comes off of this leg and goes onto this leg at this point in your walk. I also think that it would be stronger to have your foot angle, have the heel continue to roll up off the ground from this pose to here. I want to see that heel rolling up and like picking up in space where the toe is just barely touching the ground plane, or even has been lifted off of the ground plane. I think something like this is going to be a little bit stronger for you. Again, keeping with the forward lean, like I said, on all the poses. And then we're not talking about timing too much here, because I just want to look at these as poses so we can ignore the timing. But I do feel like it takes a lot of keys to get from here to here. But ignore that comment for now. I shouldn't have made it. I'm sorry. Anyways, this should be the utmost point of the pelvis, and in order to achieve that, I think that this leg here should be straight as we're passing by. And it's okay, even hopefully it has a little like forward lean to it to continue the forward lean here. This foot, I still see some roll in the toe here, so I'd get rid of that. I'm gonna change colors just so it doesn't get confusing, because this foot will be sort of behind the other foot. But in general, you have the right idea here. Just taking out the toe thing, maybe maybe keeping it a little lower to the ground where it's not picked up so high off the ground. But yeah, that's great. And then here is, so we got this, we got the down, we got pass. Somewhere in here is going to be an in-between for your fourth pose. So this should be sort of a mirror of this. And I wasn't really finding it to be too close to this pose. So this should be your other contact pose. Maybe just take this one and copy values from one leg onto the other and vice versa. Let me know if you need help doing that. I can help you out. So then just talking about this passing pose here, we're on the way to the opposite of this pose here. And so we need to see the center of gravity or the pelvis like coming down from its highest spot here. It needs to be down a little bit lower. Yeah, like what I'm seeing too is like this foot isn't moving back in space at this on this frame at all. So it needs to be a little, maybe this is where the heel starts rolling up off the ground ever so slightly. You know, we're probably going to see a little bit of a bend in here. It doesn't, because the pelvis is starting to come down, it doesn't have to be so straight. But yeah, I think you have the right idea with this foot. Again, I would eliminate that toe bend by clearing out that little control that's there of any rotation. Get that foot flat. Get it lower to the ground, I think. Like have it just sort of like skimming the ground comfortably. But yeah, something like this looks good. So looking at it from the front view, I think on the plant here, that's when we would kind of start to get the pelvis would be over this way, you know, like what I've been saying. A lot of people are kind of missing this, which is fine. We're learning. I'm not saying that like this is where your foot needs to be. I'm just trying to do an example of like how you can make it look like it's still on balance while shifting the weight over this way, right? It's similar to the weight shift exercise that you guys did earlier in Raquel's class. And again, like if you look at this pose just from the front here, the character looks like a little off balance. It looks like they would, if we were playing red light, green light, so we said red light, they would like kind of start to tip over this way. So I think that we can put it a little bit more on balance again as we like shift the weight. Again, this should be tipped up a little bit, the pelvis here, as we're shifting the weight back this way to get to this pose here. Let me look at the rotation. Yeah, it looks like the rotation from this view of the pelvis is great. I feel like this way, yeah, again, like the leg that has the weight is going to be, the hip's going to be tipped up, and the one that doesn't have the weight is going to be tipped lower. So give that little rotation here. Give us a little side-to-side motion here. Yeah, and then as a little bit more of a nitpicky note, make sure to get a little bit of side-to-side arcs. So when you pick up the foot and bring it forward and plant it, it's not all just like locked to this one plane, that there's like a little in and out swing, or it can even be an out and in swing, although I think an in and out, an in to out swing is a little more realistic. So here the foot would start to like pick up and go inside. Maybe here it would, I don't know what angles you want to rotate the foot up, that's up to you, but maybe it would be kind of inside here. And again, if you push the pelvis over here, it's going to give you space in between the knees to like bring in this foot without crashing into the other leg. And then as you bring it forward, it can start to move out a little bit, and then yeah. And then I think you'll be in a good place. So focus on this pose, this pose, this pose, and this pose, and then mirror those 4 poses to be the other side of the body. And we can talk about arms later. I'm not super concerned with the arms until we kind of get the feet and all these mechanics working well. But you know, this arm is pretty far away from the body and stuff like that. But let's focus on the legs and the torso and getting that all solid, and then we can start layering in the arms. So focus on these 4 poses. Try to do it stepped and then inverse them so that like for next week we get 8 stepped, like really solid poses. Okay, but great stuff. Keep it up.